We don't owe you an explanation that we're all uniquely made. I think, what I always say and train on is I assume competency. I didn't say it happens, but we all have biases. And listen, I was in the front line before I had my son with a identified disability. I never wasn't good at anything. I've always been able to either control a situation or write a check. And when God broke my heart with James's challenges, he got my full attention because I didn't know that people couldn't just get it together, right? And from serving these families for almost 3 decades, it has been the biggest honor of my life. Everybody is amazing and we all have biases. If you, Simone and Olivia and Karen are all sitting having lunch and somebody walks up who weighs 700 pounds, we all have a ticker tape in our brain of how we assume they got there.
Yeah.
Right? All of us have biases. We all do. But we should assume that every child can learn when celebrated, seen, and equipped.
How do you navigate the special education system when it feels like it was built for paperwork, not people? Today's guest, Karen Mayer Cunningham, has over 25 years of experience advocating for children. She is the special education boss and is passionate about training, educating, and empowering everyone involved in the IEP 504 process. Her goal is to ensure successful student outcomes for all children by providing families and educators with the knowledge and tools they need to navigate the special education system. Karen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, ladies, for having me. I appreciate it.
So we have lots of questions because we've dealt with the system, and Olivia's boyfriend works as part of the system. I guess I would say it like that. So we just kind of want to dive in. So let's start with, I remember you telling me a story of how you started this process, but I would love for you to tell our audience how you started down in this realm.
Yeah. So nobody would choose this, right? So nobody prays to have a child that struggles or has differences or has deficits. And so I had my first perfect child and he was born perfectly, just like his mother. I did have to very quickly, Olivia, start to color his hair because we have to match. He rolled over in 9 days. He crushed his APGAR, whatever that means. And everything was fantastic. And then at 18 months, we did what all young parents do. We took him to the pediatrician and they gave him his shots. And that day, our world was devastated. We came home that afternoon and he literally started banging his head in the wall till he broke open the sheetrock. And so as a new parent, I'm thinking this is a problem. And so he lost his language, he lost his skills, and he just regressed. And a few months later, about a year later, we took him to, I'll never forget, Starbright Pediatrics in Austin. And this very lovely, unwarm, not welcoming clinician said, well, he has 15 of the 16 markers for autism. He'll never play with other children. He won't have friends. Probably won't graduate high school. You'll have to put him in an institution. Do you want a copy of this report?
Oof.
I'm like, I don't know where you took your soft skills training. And I said, yes, as I snatched it out of her hand, hoping to leave a paper cut. And I got in the car and was devastated. But I'd been devastated for about a year. And I thought in that moment, I don't receive this. I just don't receive that. That's not what's going to happen. And between me and Oprah and Jesus, we're going to figure this out. And so I never did get a hold of Oprah, but we did work on figuring this out. And I believe there's a resolution to everything, whether I'm right or not. And so that started my special education process. And so a friend of mine, I had a salon at the time, which is what really my goal in life was, to sit and talk about people all day. And then, for the prayer list on Wednesday night. And so one of my clients told me that if you're speech delayed in Texas, that you can start school at 3. I was like, this is fantastic. Fantastic. We'll send him to the school with this Lion King backpack, the original Lion King. And, I'll make an adult beverage for breakfast and they'll fix everything. That's what they do at the school. That's why we bought a house by the school, send him over there. So he turned 3 in the summer. We started school. And a few weeks later, there is a phone call from my husband. And he starts out by saying, I'm not kidding. And the reason he said that is because I'm also a professional stand-up comic. So you always want to preface the conversation with that. And he said, there is a lady here from Child Protective Services. We have been reported for doing something to our son because he sits and rocks all day and chews his fingers She wants to know if talking to you right now is a good time or should she call you back? So I don't know anything about weight. And so I was like, Niall's a good time. So she got on the phone and she also was lovely. And she was like, do you think this is normal? Do you think this is normal that he rocks all day? Do you think it's normal he doesn't talk? Do you think it's normal that he sleeps for 4 hours a night? Do you think it's normal that he eats the bark off of a tree? I was like, no, 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 no. And what are you doing about it? I said, we're sending him to school across the street. That's what your husband said. Oh, okay. And so then she left us a brochure where we could go see him if they took him into custody. So
Wow.
that was my entree into special education in America. And so we recovered from that. I worked it out with my creator. And I was pretty sure that the teacher called and reported us because we didn't go anywhere except for to the school and home. And so I barged into the school the next day, like all laid back people, and was going to give her my Shirley MacLaine in terms of endearment. And everybody was looking at me like I was, a criminal. And the very phlegmatic principal said, it's fine. I'm sure if anybody called, they thought they were doing what was best for your son. Ugh. So anyway, I worked it out, still bought her a Christmas gift. And lo and behold, in January, another phone call. And she said, you obviously have somebody who is, happy about calling you in. We know that there's nothing going on, but we have to follow up. So after that, the next day I got into my vehicle, which I don't recommend anybody do any of the things that I've done when I was younger. And I went down to the Child Protective Service office and I barged in and I said, I want to see my case manager. And you don't have a case manager. And it was like a sheriff. He's like, oh, okay. So he rides up with me in the elevator. We walk down the hall and I'm dragging the box and the box on wheels. Everybody knows what the box on wheels is. Their paperwork and their paperwork and their paperwork. And so we get to the door of my case manager, not my case manager, and we open it up. And I promise you, the girl must have been 22 years old and one day, like 22 years old and one day, had just graduated from college. And I roll in and I said, do you know anything about autism? And she goes, I think when I was a sophomore, we had a seminar.
Oh, God.
And I thought, are you my leader? But she was the first person to ever give me a resource to help me. She gave me a card for MHMR in Travis County, which is mental health, mental retardation. We don't call it that anymore. And she was the first person to give me a resource to help in any way. And that started my forced voyage into this amazing vocation of serving families and schools and parents at the highest level. I would not have done this. I told God I was looking to be popular. And he said, I'd like you to be effective. I was like, no, really. I was, and I'm still going for popular. Right. And that was my entree off the cliff into special education.
I think you're pretty popular now. There you go. You got it. You got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have the name of special education boss. And
Yes.
I love that. So tell me how that started.
Yeah, so it started in 1997, helping my son, and a little bit of a controller. I'm kind of like Velcro with people. If I like you, it's going to be an octopus, whether you like it or not. And so I just feel like it's my call to help everybody that needs help. And so I would start to help other families. I was like, I'll go with you to a meeting. I didn't know what I was doing. But I just sort of barreled my way through and I started helping other families because I thought, this is so great. We have this amazing law. We have these amazing kids and these amazing teachers, and we could just like do what the law says.
No.
And so I remember the lady sitting next to me at my first IEP meeting. She took a piece of paper and she folded it up. And then she passed it over to me, like just under my leg. And I took it like I was doing something illegal on a cable show. Not that I've ever done anything illegal. And I got home and I unwrapped it. And I was like, this is how we resource parents. Like, what are we doing? And fast forward 29 years later, and it's not any different. It's probably worse because, if Olivia is the teacher, the amazing, happy kindergarten teacher, heaven forbid that she tell me that Trevor is struggling, right? And it's just craziness that it's so polarizing. And so you would never think it in America if you didn't have a child with a disability. You were just like, oh, that's Simone. She's, she's not realistic. Karen's a little crazy. We take both of those. But my mission statement is when we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. And so I just became in love with this space. And, for the rest of my life, this is what I will do, even if I'm 120 years old with one shiny tooth, because it'll be shiny. But I'm going to help people so that kids get the services they need so that they can have post-secondary success for gainful employment, independent living, and further education like we want for every single child in America.
So I have, well, one of my sons is on the autism spectrum. I also have a son who has severe dyslexia. And what was interesting was when he was in first grade, I couldn't get a diagnosis. So basically, we adopted him from Ethiopia. And so when I took him to the psychologist, when I took him for testing, they're like, he's Ethiopian. I'm like, that is not a
That's
diagnosis.
not a diagnosis.
Wow, thanks for the input. Let me write that
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. And so at the school, he was getting all A's. And I went in to see the teacher and I said, "You're giving him all A's. He can't read the word and." And she said, "Yeah, I was going to talk to you about that." So it's very difficult in the school system to get the services he's going to need. So because basically from right now, since we had this conversation, it's going to take 9 months that I have to watch him for, and then to prove that there's something going on. And then we can do the testing, and then we can figure out what services he needs. And so then she said to me, if you can afford it, I would take him to private school. She's like, you're not going to get what you need here. And I was like, mind blown. Like,
Right,
what? What?
right.
And I don't know if
And
that's every school
well,
system that works that way or if it's,
well, and you asked me how did I get to be special education boss? Because my heart is to equip people, whoever that is. I want to give them the information. And what you just said is a lie. It's not
mm,
even a good lie, right? It's just a lie. So the law is very linear. It assumes you know what it means. And Child Find simply says that we have an obligation to ILE, identify, locate, and evaluate children with suspected disabilities who may be in need of special education and
Mm.
related services. That's all it says. But that is not what we tell moms and dads, and we just run them off. Go ahead now, go on.
mm-hmm,
Or they say, we'll keep an eye on them. I'm like, which eye? Like your left, which eye are you going to keep on? And so not intervening is egregious. I mean, if Olivia was running a temperature in September and they said, Simone, we're backed up. I mean, could
mm,
you like April, is that good? Like you would never do that, right?
No.
There is this unholy alliance that exists between humans and the school. It happened to me in the 70s and 80s. But if Olivia comes home and says, Mom, the school said it's case closed,
mm.
right? We wouldn't
Yeah.
believe that from the fireman, your priest, your investor. But if the school said, it's got to be gospel. And so what I've come to realize is that the schools are not trained. The people at the district level do know the truth, but they keep their own employees wrongfully informed. And so I get to train people every day. And 80% of the people that I train are school-based members. Why? I'm a college dropout. Now, Olivia, I'm not a quitter. I dropped out of a lot of colleges, but why am I the special education boss? You know why? Because if we tell Simone the truth, we know Simone, she's going to run tell the whole world, right? There's a saying, tell a woman, tell the world.
Mm.
And it's 50 years old, December 2nd, 2025. Special education will be 50 years old in America. And sometimes I think it's 1960.
Mm.
But we have to get the right information out to everybody so that we can choose to do better.
Yeah. I
This is
mean,
exactly what I'm
Yeah.
learning in class right now. Like
Yeah.
quite literally, just the right to education and the treatment of individuals with mental disabilities and how they are not given more protections, especially because they're not considered a suspect class by the Supreme Court, which means that they're not like a minority class that experiences any discrimination, which is obviously not true.
Yeah. I mean, that's not what OCR says or the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. I think that we just have so much noise around it that you would assume, Olivia would assume if she works at Yahoo Independent School District that her boss is telling her the truth, right? And so
Yeah.
we have mass amounts of people, there's 8 million kids in America on an IEP, probably should be more than that. But it's the only federal law solely implemented by parents.
Mm.
mm.
And so here's what I say. You don't have to implement special education, but send the money back. And then we'll use that money for something else. And so it's the most marginalized population in public schools. And we got to turn this Titanic around.
It's unbelievable.
It's from a kid perspective, thinking back to like seeing the special ed classroom. Mind you, I do have an IEP and I was in, as mom likes to point out, remedial math and remedial reading for a lot of elementary. But the special education kids at my public school were kept in a segregated classroom with segregated teachers that we would never interact with. They were on a playground at a different time than we were on the playground.
Yeah, it's archaic and ridiculous. Children learn the most from other children,
Hmm.
right? But here's what I always say, Olivia. And listen, I have a deficit in math too, Olivia. The only math I know is BOGO. That's really all you need as an adult.
Exactly.
But here's what I know. Children with disabilities in public schools are probably not going to be a school board meeting photo op.
No.
And so until we think that my child who needs additional help, just like coaching, has the same equity as the captain of the football team, the head of the science STEM, the debate team, then here we sit with this belief that we've got to, we'll do what we can, but it's a lot of work. And you know what? I don't really see an ROI. Well, I can tell you what, I would hire an adult for my business that had been in special ed 100 times over somebody that wouldn't, because you know what? They've had to work for everything. Nothing came easy for them. And
Mm.
they're amazing and loyal. We have so many instruments to measure, cognition, achievement, emotionality, communicative abilities. What we don't measure is loyalty, kindness. Are you a good son? Are you a hard worker? And I would argue, because I like to do that, that those are more important skills than how you do on a math computation test.
Yeah, I would agree
Yeah.
with you 100%. And it's crazy to think that we are in the same place. But I guess that's true of so many things in our world that we haven't moved forward on. But it was shocking to me. Now, I actually I taught um, elementary school for 3 years. And one of them, I was in a special needs classroom. I had 5 or 6 students. And yeah, we did exactly what Olivia was saying. We were on the playground at a different time. They ate lunch in the classroom. They didn't get to go to the cafeteria. And well, one of the craziest things for me is that the they couldn't find a full-time teacher to do it. So I had just started teaching and I was in my what was I in my 30s, and I was hired as like an hourly wage because they couldn't find someone that would stick to it. So they're like, we're not even going to hire a full-time teacher for this. We're just going to find someone because they're going to leave anyways. And that was just a crazy idea to me as well that, wait, no, people do actually want this job. You have to find the
Hmm.
right person.
Right. And you have to support them, right? I think it's amazing. We're not running low on principals. We're not running low on the football coach. We're not running low on AP teachers. And listen, I like football. I live in Texas. We insist on all of our children wearing polyester at some point on the field during football season. But you know what? When you help my child read, then the whole school is going to benefit. The whole
Hmm.
class is going to benefit. We're not asking for a limo driver. We're not asking for a swimming pool. We're asking for equity and access and inclusion. But most people don't know what that is. We just roll in a kid in the back of the room. They sit with the paraprofessional and then we roll them out. That's not inclusion. That is actually a classroom within a classroom. Kind of what Olivia was saying, I ask really tough questions as a special education advocate. My job is to talk about uncomfortable truths in a way that people keep listening. And so I'll
Hmm.
say, did Olivia eat with the other second graders? Oh, yes, she did. Her class goes there. Yes. So Olivia was sitting in between her homeroom students with non-disabled peers. Oh no, they're at another table. Well, here's what I have to, what's the point?
Yeah.
Then that's not inclusion. If you and I go to a restaurant and Olivia sits 4 tables over, she is not included. Proximity is not inclusion.
Yeah. I'm thinking back to even like with Noah. So,
Yes.
and that was one of the hardest things because so Noah's on the autism spectrum and I don't even know how you say it. Like, do you say he's highly functional? To me, I always feel like that's the disclaimer, right? But he's going to college. Like he's doing amazing. What do you say in that situation? What's
So
the right?
we have rating scales. Here's all of my kids are RA. They're ridiculously amazing. And
Mm.
what does high functioning mean? My husband is Mensa. He won't ever hear this, I hope. So that means Olivia, he's really smart and I'm really happy. Those are two different things. The things that we get all excited about, do they matter in life? Like nobody's asked me what percentage I graduated. Nobody asked me about my record, right? And we focus on things that really aren't that important. So, I always talk about the acuity of a child's disability and their comorbidities. And so, high functioning gives an illusion, and I mean this in the most respectful
Yes.
way, that,
Yeah.
that he's sort of brilliant. He's going to make a rocket ship. I remember people used to ask me, and Olivia, this will be your homework for you. People, because all I knew about when James was little, I would drink about 3 bottles of wine every night because I'm tall and German, and then watch Rain Man over and over again. I don't really recommend ever doing that, because that's the only framework that I had. And people would
Yeah.
ask me, "Does he count cards?" Yeah, we take him in his pull up to Vegas. What? And so nobody knows, right? So autism is a set of neurological differences reported by people to a professional. And so, we all come on a continuum, whether we have a disability or not. And so, what I do know is every child can learn when we give them the allowable, available supports in public schools.
My new book, Real Confidence, A Simple Guide to Go from Unsure to Unshakable, will be coming out on February 17th, and it's available for pre-order now. So if you'll go to realconfidencebook.com, you can order it from your favorite online retailer. And there's lots of bonuses that will come with a pre-order. So when you go there, you can see everything that you're going to get with it. You just have to put in your order number, and the bonuses will be delivered to your inbox.
You better buy my mom's book.
Because it's amazing.
Because it's amazing.
Yeah. I love you too. One of the hardest things for us was so many of the times was the other children, right? So
100%.
And I thought, yes, I mean, obviously he was in a regular classroom and everything like that. But at the beginning, I felt a lot of it was set up for failure because he really struggled with those interactions and he would get very frustrated very easily. And the idea of group projects, that was so stressful to him because they said they'll never listen to me. Like, why am I doing this? Finally, as he got older, they realized, okay, so he can do the project by himself, right? He's capable of that. It's not like he can't, and now he can do all of the things, right? He really can.
Right.
But at the time, everything was like a setup for failure. Oh, he has to do this. Like, well, okay, so when he has a meltdown in the classroom, are you still going to call me about it? Because I told you this is why he's going to have a meltdown.
Yeah.
And, there was no part of it that was easy, but it was really how the other kids treated him, how the other parents talked about him. That was another thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought about that story the other day. Noah went to a birthday party when he was younger, and it was a pool party, and something happened, and he started crying. It was a pretty regular occurrence throughout my childhood. Like Noah cried easy. That's just who he was. And I just remember like what the parents were saying. And the fact that one of his friends had to go up to one of the moms and be like, Noah's on the autism spectrum. That's why he can't handle his emotions as well as I can handle my emotions. A 7-year-old shouldn't have to say that to a grown adult.
Yeah, we don't owe you an explanation that we're all uniquely made. I think, what I always say and train on is I assume competency. I didn't say it happens, but we all have biases. And listen, I was in the front line before I had my son with a identified disability. I never wasn't good at anything. I've always been able to either control a situation or write a check.
Mm-hmm.
And when God broke my heart with James's challenges, he got my full attention, because I didn't know that people couldn't just get it together, right? And from serving these families for almost 3 decades, it has been the biggest honor of my life. Everybody is amazing, and we all have biases. If Simone and Olivia and Karen are all sitting having lunch, and somebody walks up who weighs 700 pounds, we all have a ticker tape in our brain of how we assume they got there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. All of us have biases. We all do. But we should assume that every child can learn when celebrated, seen, and equipped. And so we're like, oh, Oh, you can tell he's different. Did you know he's different? I don't know if you know he's different. I
Mm.
mean, they're a lot of work. I do lots of events, and this lady walked up to me, God bless her, and she goes, "It's so nice what you do for those kids."
Mm.
And I just pretended like
Yeah.
she wasn't me. And I said, "I don't know what you mean." She goes, those kids. I said, "I don't know. They're all general ed kids. Every child in the school is a general ed kid. And some of them receive special education services. But like I'm some good person. I'm not some good person. I'm just doing what I was put on this earth to do. And we don't people with disabilities don't want it, they don't want your compassion or your empathy or you feel sorry for them. They just want access, and we can provide that in a way that serves everybody.
What are some of the biggest obstacles you see? I mean, I think probably what we talked about before in terms of that you believe the word of the school, right? Before you even get started, you're already told that you can't do it. But what are some other things that you see are the biggest obstacles for parents?
The biggest obstacle is that people in school districts knowingly look at a parent and lie. Not a little bit. I'm good at lying. I'm an evangelist. We call it embellishing. Um, I was on a call today with a state office of education, and the attorney said something that was a lie. You just assume that when you go into a school, whatever they tell you is gospel, and it's not. And so here's what I say, and this is a terrible saying. So everybody listening, please forgive me. It is much cheaper to get one babysitter for 10 kids than 10 babysitters for 10 kids. And so I believe often school districts look at it from a financial position. If I put a bunch of kids in one room with one teacher and a couple of paras and don't expect a lot out of them, I will be absolutely correct.
Mhm.
Right. And so you
Yeah.
would never think of, oh, I went to a building today, mom, and there was no wheelchair ramp. Like we would all flip out. But, parents that have a child with a disability, 88% of them get divorced. If something goes on, we can't all be down at the school Thursday night, right? We're trying to get through Thursday. Whereas, if we were a parent of a general ed student that something happened with the tennis coach, we would all be there. And this population is so, isolated already. And so this great mechanisms of social media has given hope and opportunity and training for parents, educators, and advocates worldwide to know what the actual law says, the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. And if it makes people like me, great. If it makes people not like me, even better, because kids are getting what they need finally.
Do you work with people throughout the country or
I work
specifically in
with
Texas?
no, I have clients in the Kodiak Islands, in Miami-Dade County, in New Jersey, in the Massachusetts. So what happened is Friday the 13th, 2020, the world shut down, right? The pandemic. And my boys, who are way smarter than me, went to the Ace Hardware and they got me a thing called an Ethernet cord. I don't know if you've heard of it, Olivia. And they take the ether and the net, and then you put them together and they're in one accord. And so since then, I've been doing due process hearings, federal complaints, state complaints, and IEP meetings, Zooming back to back. And so it's an amazing way to serve families all over. We have families all over the globe, but we serve all the families in the United States.
I love
So
that.
you actually do something very similar to what I do right now. I work at a nonprofit in Tennessee that essentially we're client advocates for getting people onto TennCare, so Medicaid and Medicare, and whatever else is in between that.
Yeah.
So very familiar with what you do and how frustrating these government agencies can be because as the CEO of our nonprofit said, we are not well liked in the Tennessee legislature. So it's
Yeah.
hard to get stuff done when people think that you're here to cause chaos, but it's good chaos. We're here to make a
Oh,
change and make a difference.
I love chaos. Nobody's going to leave going, I wonder what she thought, you know? And, and,
Yes,
and
that's
so
how I
my
walk in
job
every
is to
room.
give parents resources and phrases and, you know, the law is the law. People don't know how to sit in an uncomfortable meeting. Disagreeing is part of the human experience, but for some reason we can't disagree with the school. You can, and I did. And so, one of the main things that I teach, and we have a weekly academy, is how to stay at the table when things are uncomfortable, right? If things were uncomfortable at the hospital, you wouldn't go, let's go. I mean, they said they would take care of Olivia. We'll just leave. No, you would go to every floor, to every desk until we got it right for Olivia. And that's what I do. We're going to do this. We're going to go through the roof, the back door, the front door. A lot of things I'm doing, going away will not ever be one of them.
So let's talk about the academy. We're going to talk about, I would love to talk about all the way you serve, all the
Yeah.
different ways you serve people. So obviously you do one-on-one and then you have your academy. And I know you do a lot of lives.
Yeah.
So,
So the Epic IEP Academy is every Monday night. I train in series on the federal law, and then we open it up for questions. And you need that every 7 days professional development. And we have this great group of people, which are superintendents and speech pathologists and parents and attorneys and doctors and surgeons, and we all get to resource each other. We have hundreds of hours of training archived on the academy. And so it's a monthly membership for $97. You can stay as long as you want and you can leave. I mean, we understand if you leave, people make mistakes. You can always come back, but you need this weekly training. You cannot count on somebody else, whoever that is, to give you the information. And so we have that. We have a 2-day intensive to train people to become advocates. And then we have a mastermind for people to come advocates the way that we serve families. And we put out 52 pieces of content on social media every day. We have about 1 million followers online and about 10 million impressions monthly. So you can see all of my outfits and Olivia, some of my hairdos. I was not having a good day, but just some grace for that.
and people really like your lipstick, right? You get a lot of comments about the lipstick.
I get a lot of comments. It's L'Oreal 108. You can get it on my link tree.
Love that.
Yeah.
And you have a book coming out. So let's talk about your book. Yeah.
The book. So this has been my life's mission. And I mean, this, Simone, it's like, oh, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to, in my, what do you call that? Free time.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made the commitment this year and wrote the book, The Epic IEP, a powerful playbook for parents, educators, and advocates navigating the special education process. So you can go to the epiciep.com, go to your favorite book fulfillment place and get pre-order your book. And then that unlocks bonuses. But we're so glad that somebody can have in their hand the exact 7-part framework that I use for every family that I serve. And it's going to be helpful for every single person at the table. At the end of every chapter, it has a checklist for parents, a checklist for educators, and a checklist for advocates. So we can all be rowing in the same direction. There's not two sides of the table. It's just one table. It's for the child. And so this book's going to help you be able to fulfill your role at the IEP table and serve kids at the highest level.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And when does it come out?
It comes out January 27th, 2026 at midnight.
Mm.
Wherever you are at midnight. That's when
Love it. But you can pre-order it now. And when you pre-order
all the good-looking, attractive people, of course, are going to pre-order. No pressure. Yeah.
And when you pre-order,
you unlock $500 worth of bonuses. We'll be doing a book tour. And we're super, super excited. It's so needed. In special education, I have a whole wall of law books, Olivia, those are enjoyable, said no one.
Oh, yeah.
Or
I read like 400 pages a week of them.
Yeah, or we have books for teachers that are more academic, but we never had anything it was like really, like what really happens at the table, right? Mm-hmm. So an academic book is great, but when Bob tells you no, then what, right? Mm-hmm. That's never explained. And so this is the actual components of the IEP, what its purpose is. It's a book of hope. They have amazing stories in it. You'll cry, you'll be excited, and hopefully we will all get up and ride at dawn to serve these kids.
That's amazing. And so when you talk about an IEP, let's talk about too, as a child grows, as they go off to college, how does that differ? Does it still follow them there? What things do you need to do to make sure that they're still getting what they need as they move forward?
Sure. So an IEP, an individualized education program, is for children between the ages of 3 and 22 with an identified disability in a public school. And so it doesn't follow you afterwards. But if you go to college, you'd want to go to the disability office and meet with them, and they could assess and look at what accommodations would support you in college. And then, of course, the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 just says if you're identified with a disability wherever you are, in work, college, public school, that you can't be discriminated based upon your disability and denied accommodation. So wherever you go post-secondary, you can get those accommodations that support your disability.
I think one of the things that's so amazing now is all of the tools that are available. So even from when Ari was in 2nd grade and started working with a tutor on, trying to learn how to read, right? And now everything is, you can listen to everything. It's really amazing in that. I guess that's true of everything, but how quickly things change and how many tools there are. And
Yeah.
Even he can scan anything now if he's having a hard time, and his tests, the computer reads the test to him, and it's just,
Yeah,
to me,
there's
it's
so many ways
amazing.
now that we can mitigate the acuity of your disability, but we have to provide it to the student. We have to
Mhm.
realize that there's a time for them to learn that. We don't just put a device in front of them. I had a lovely evaluator. She goes, "Well, I put the device in front of him and he wasn't interested in it." I'm like, "It could be your tone of voice." Yeah. So, like the first day that I got my flip phone, I knew how to use it. So, you
Yeah.
have to provide instruction. Isn't that what we do? We teach and test, teach and test. And so we have so many amazing tools that serve people everywhere now.
Yeah.
What would you say to an individual, and I see it quite frequently in my law class, who is embarrassed to use their accommodations or their IEP?
So I think that is predicated on we haven't had a conversation with that individual about what's the purpose, right? Mom and dad had a meeting with the people at the school. We didn't ask him. I always meet the kids that I serve and ask them what I can do to support them. If you don't understand the purpose of it, you're not going to get a buy-in, right?
Mhm.
And often we are not well-behaved adults in schools and go, "Hey, Olivia, your hard copy of notes are up front in this orange folder." Well, you ask anybody, especially a teenager, "Hey, would you like to be different in school?" No hands go up. And so we have to do better at not making children spotlighted for their disability, but discreetly support them, right? And we have to sit down with the child with a disability and ask what they would like. How would they like that? What's a better way to do that? Because, I wear glasses. I'm probably going to need glasses next year. But if I was embarrassed about it, then I would just walk around squinting with headaches. And so we have to sit down with the individual with disability in school and explain to them what the point is and what the payoff will be.
And then this is a personal question. What do I tell someone in law school who says I'm only doing well because I have extra time, therefore I have a competitive edge?
Mm.
Oh, that is a unique perspective. That
It
is,
is one that is seen in every law school. At everyone I've talked to, they hate the people with extra time because we're all graded against each other. Therefore, even though I can't do anything in the regular amount of time, I'm doing better because I have extra time.
yeah. I mean, that's a unique statement. I don't know why somebody would say that. Um, and yeah, I don't know that people do better because they have extra time. When they
No.
use extra time, they're not doing something that somebody who doesn't need extra time is doing. So, I mean, there's two ways to see that. I would just say you're probably not going to be hired at my law firm and then stick out your tongue. That's what I would do because I'm not that mature. Yeah.
Uh, that's hilarious. So let's talk to the parents who haven't come to your academy. They're not sure of where to start. Like, what would be the first step? What would be the first thing that you would say to them when they walk into an IEP meeting?
Well, don't unless you're fully prepared.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't go to meetings not prepared. Most parents walk into an IEP meeting all doe-eyed. We just start typing. Okay, today is October 1st. Do you agree with this section? It's so unwelcoming. So, number one, I go into meetings prepared. So, this is the email that I send the school. Dear school, please provide us a full draft copy of the IEP, knowing that it's just a draft and all decisions will be made in the meeting. Without the draft ahead of time, it's unlikely the parent will be able to make an informed decision and we may have to reschedule. So I believe school districts often think they're the professionals and we're just letting the parent know what's going to happen. That's not the law. That's not the statutory law at all. In fact, parents are described in the law and in case law as the expert because they're the parent, right? And so the number one stakeholder under IDEA is the parent. So if you don't get me the opportunity to equally participate and prepare, we're going to need to reschedule. And so most parents are just read it to in a meeting. BIP, PCS, IHP. We use the GORT and then the Wyatt and then the KTEA. You have any questions?
Mhm.
And parents are like,
Huh?
no, because I don't have any idea what you're talking about. We all talk in acronyms. And then we act like we're very busy and you're bothering them sitting here. We've got to get to our next meeting. We got to get to our next meeting. And so I slow down the rate of a meeting so that so the parents can absorb it. And then we can finish the meeting equipping a child. It's not about finishing, it's not about compliance and paperwork. It's about a child.
Yeah. I wish I would have known you a long time ago. And I hope this will help a lot of families out there that are listening to this because it is overwhelming. I mean, you go in there, first of all, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, my child is going to be treated differently their entire life. So you already have this
Yeah.
idea in your head. And then you're like, okay, whatever they tell me, I guess is what we have to do. And it's so ridiculous now looking back at that and thinking, yeah, that was ridiculous. Why did I believe that? But in
Because
the
you didn't have a reason not to. We believe that our perspective and processes are other people, and it's just not true, right? If I'm good, that they're good. If I'm informed, they're informed. And it's just, I mean, you wouldn't go to a doctor and go, "Did you ever like go to doctor school?" Ma'am, please don't ask me that question. Like,
right.
right? So
Yeah.
you would assume a special educator has been trained on special education law, and they have not. I adore teachers. They changed my son's life, special ed teachers, paraprofessionals. They're not trained. They're not trained.
Mhm.
We bring them into school a week ahead of time, shove them through all of this PD. They have to sign off on it, and they run, get their rooms together. And we're like, go Bobcats.
Yeah.
You would think that there would be some training in special education, and you'd be hard pressed to find any that is meaningful for educators.
Yeah, I didn't have any training. I just
No,
was willing
just get
to
in there,
learn.
Simone.
Yeah, just do
You're doing
it.
a great job. 2 thumbs up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're great. You're keeping the kids in the classroom. Good job.
yeah.
Yeah, when I think the other thing that was really shocking to me, and again, I have no idea what it's like in other places, and I don't know what it's like right now in Florida, but when I took my exam to be able to be in um, the special ed world, I don't even remember the name of that section of the test, you needed a 50% to pass. A 50%,
You don't
right?
want to overdo it, Simone. It's not like you're
No.
going to the Super Bowl. Calm down.
Mm.
Yeah.
But I was shocked when I learned that. I mean, I got, I think, a 98, but still a
Yeah.
50%, and that's okay. Well, no,
Yeah.
that's not okay. I mean, that 50% is not passing in anything. Why would it be passing to be able to teach our kids?
Yeah.
So,
With exceptionalities. Right.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, what gives you hope today? I mean, we're already talking that we're still struggling the same as we were so many years ago, but what
Yeah.
gives you hope today?
Well, the same thing that gave me hope when I started is that we have this amazing group of professionals called educators, right? And I am 117 years old, and I remember my teachers in high school who
Mm.
adored me and the ones that were recoiled by me. Miss Huffman, if you're listening, nobody cares about osmosis. But anyway, back to me. What gives me hope is we still have these amazing educators who do it for the money and the fame, right?
For sure.
Who want to teach our children. And the reason that they spend all of their income at my training is because they want to learn. Teachers want to learn. They want to be better. Administrators want to learn and be better. Teachers want to learn and be better. But school districts don't train them. They just do not. And so I'm so hopeful that when this book goes out, this information goes out, you don't need to follow me. You don't need to be on the Karen train. You don't need to be Karen. One Karen is plenty.
Mhm.
I want you to have this information so that you can go shine a light wherever you are. I believe that we're all light, but light does two things: it exposes and illuminates. And we need to expose and illuminate what we need to work on in special ed and what's going good in special ed.
You talk a lot about confidence, equipping parents so that they feel confident walking into a meeting.
Yeah.
What does confidence mean to you?
Confidence means to me that I know that I am doing the thing that I was called to do. It might be bumpy, it might be a little bit rough, but I'm getting better every day. And that I know that I'm committed to that which I believe in. And I'm unbelievably confident. And in this law that we have, these services that we have for children, and the human spirit is just immeasurable. And when we give children what they need, they blossom. I had a little
Hmm.
boy a few months ago that said, Miss Karen, I got an award for not getting a color change this year. I said, I just want you to know something. Miss Karen invented the color change, right? And when you water a child, it's the most amazing thing. And we have an opportunity to seed these children so that they can feel and be successful as adults like we do any other child.
Yeah. I absolutely look at that with our son Noah, and that I think the expectation from a lot of his teachers when he was younger was that he'll never leave the house, right? This is going to
Yeah.
be a forever thing, and we just never gave up. We just kept going and we kept doing, and like I said, he drives a car, he's away at college, and he's
Yeah.
doing amazing.
Yeah.
But it's that constant thing. You just can't give up. You can't say, "Oh, that's not going to work." which
Yeah, it's not like you bought a bad pair of pants off the TikTok and you're returning them. I checked, because there were several times when I was a young mother, I was like, can I take the children back? There's no return section at the hospital. You have to keep them, you paid cash. And so I just think of special ed as coaching, right? Both of my oldest son, my two boys, they're both athletes. My oldest son is a professional bowler on the PBA Southwest Regional Tour now, so he'll be paying for all my plastic surgery. So the
love
next
that.
time you see me, I could have full-blown duck lips. That is my goal. But both of them, we paid for coaches, right? Nobody would think that's unusual. So that's what special ed is just coaching. It's a little bit more than the general ed teacher can provide. And when we do that, and we do it well so many times, it changes people's lives. It changes a child's future, and it gives a family hope.
Yeah, absolutely. Liv, your question.
What's the best advice a woman in your life ever gave you?
It's much easier to get forgiveness than permission.
Mm.
Remember that, Olivia, when you're married.
I think my husband says that quite a bit. He's like, just do it and then ask for forgiveness later. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm still a permission kind of girl, right?
Yeah, I think, and it's never more apparent than it is now on social media. Like everybody wants to be liked and adored. You know what? I'm too old to be liked, and I am my favorite person. If you don't like me, you probably need to see a professional. Like I like me, and
Yeah.
so if women could love who they are, we're the most amazing people on the planet. We make other people, right? We help our husband find his keys. So do the thing that you were cooked to do. Whatever you were good at 4, 5, and 6, that's probably the thing that you were supposed to be doing. At 5, I was bossing around people on the playground. And now look at me, Olivia. Look at me now.
Yeah. I mean, I agree 100% when I think back to, and I say this all the time when I speak, think back to what you wanted when you were a child, the astronaut, the doctor, whatever, the actress. I wanted to be an actress. And so I feel like I'm kind of an actress now because of getting to speak on stage and doing a podcast. And so, yeah, I think that we are the most amazing creatures.
Yeah.
And so are our children.
Yes. And our husbands. I love my husband. He's amazing. He has a high pain tolerance. He lives with me.
Mine does too. I mean, we've been married for 32 years and he's still here. And
I'm just saying, if 88% of couples with special needs kids end in divorce, you guys are obviously doing pretty well since neither of you are divorced.
Oh no, dear Olivia. Oh, I'm divorced. I had to release him back into the wild. But you know what? I got another one because when you look this good, you just you go online and you get somebody. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. So Olivia, let's do your calendar and then we'll finish up.
Rather than getting angry over the same shit, you can choose not to.
Okay, then.
There you go.
That works.
Yeah.
That works. Every time it's something different. So, but yeah.
Yes. And if you are ever mad at somebody in an IEP meeting, do not put a candy bar in their gas tank. Put marbles. Just sharing. Just in case. It doesn't ruin their engine, but it makes you think all the time. A friend of mine from Long Island told me that. I was like, that's a good idea.
That's hilarious. I love that. So where can people find you?
I'm everywhere. I'm like Oxygen. So I am special education boss on any of our platforms. Karen Mayer Cunningham. So specialeducationacademy.com or specialeducationboss.com. We are here to serve people. So if you need a records review, you need representation, you just need a hug. We are available to serve people at the highest level. If you need us to come and do professional development at your school district or your agency, we do that as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today. Like I said, I wish I would have met you a long time ago because I definitely could have used the help back then. But, things work out and I get to meet you now. And I definitely like you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I like you right back.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Her Unshakable Confidence. Always remember, you are unshakable.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank y'all.
Thank you for listening to Her Unshakable Confidence with Simone and Olivia Knego. We hope this episode has made your day just a little bit brighter and given you the inspiration you need to confidently go about your week. Always remember to be authentically you. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And feel free to connect with them on Instagram at Simone Knego and at Olivia Knego. Till next time.